Okay, soldering the connectors on the LED printed circuit boards, or PCBs. Um, this is what you'll be soldering the strips to. The tube, the plastic tube, goes will be attached to it. You'll solvent weld the bulkhead inside the tube, and I have a different video on that. The connector goes on the opposite side. It goes in this little, this is a silk string, little white box. If you look at the connector, the pins aren't straight in a row, and that's so that you can't put it on. You can't put it on the wrong way. It'll only go in one way because it won't line up. You put it in like this, and there's several ways you could mess it up if you put it in there. One is you can have it like what I call twisted, like in this dimension. You don't want that. You want it to be parallel to that little white box there. You could have it like this, where it's like, not quite, and I'm exaggerating, you'd never do it that bad, but you can have it not flat on the board, and twisted, not flat. And the other thing is you can have the pins not adequately wetted. You can put it on the wrong side, too, as far as that goes. And I don't really have, I ran out of the right size solder, though this is smaller gauge solder than what's good for this big of a job. But I think you'll get the idea anyway. Two of these pads, you can actually see, this is the signal pad. You can actually, maybe you can see the trace on there. The trace goes up just to this little pad, and it goes all around and talks to all of them. These two pins are hooked to ground and 12 volts. Ground 12 volts have a lot of copper on them. I mean, basically everything else that's not the land is the power distribution on this card. So they take a much longer time to get hot. So what you always do when you do a connector is just put one pin down. Don't even worry about the twist and all that stuff yet. Just get one pin tack. Don't worry about how much solder you get. Let's see, my soldering iron not on. I'd say 350. You can't really do too hot here. I'd say I'm gonna do 350, which should be enough, but even 400 would be okay. It's about how long you have to hold the soldering iron on the land to get it warm enough to wet the land, as opposed to just the pin. So I'm gonna put it on here, put a little bit of solder on there. Now one thing that I've done more times I can tell you is pull this guy off to check the alignment before that solder's frozen. And when you do that, not only is the connector drop off, but now your hole's plugged with solder, and you gotta have solder wick to get it out again. Oh, and you guys, hope you got your solder wick. You're gonna need it, maybe not for the connector, but definitely you'll need it for undoing bridges when you solder the lead strips on. So if you haven't got that, make sure you get that ordered. It's in the manual, I think. If not, let me know. Anyway, put it on there and you see, okay, wow, that's not even close to being straight. It's not flat on the board. So what I do is I just come over here and I just redo that solder and tweak it till it's right. Now it looks flat, looks pretty darn flat, but I'm gonna be real sure. I'm gonna put it on there and hold it down against there. Get it wet. And again, this is the signal pad, so it doesn't take long to get the solder melted. Now I'm gonna look all the way around, and yeah, it looks flat. And then I look at that white line, and I think there might be, this is more anal than you need to be, but you want that line. Well, let's see how much flex there is. Yeah, see, there's a little flex in the connector. So if you're within, if you're within a line width, let's say, of being parallel to that, the body being parallel to that silk string, you're okay. And once you've done that, this isn't a good solder joint. It's just holding it there mechanically till we do other ones. So we're gonna go to the opposite side and do the. I think that would be the ground pin. This power's in the middle. Put my soldering iron on there. Be patient. It takes quite a while to get the land hot enough. I'd say at least 10 seconds. Let's just count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm not a patient guy. I also don't have very steady hands. Again, I'm not even sure I'm hitting the spot. Probably should do this under the big lens. You can see the solder going in there. Again, with a bigger diameter solder, it's long done by now. That should be enough. Now let's look at it. Let's let it freeze. And same thing, it takes a while to freeze for the same reason. You got a lot of copper on a lot of land on that guy. And I inspect it all the way around, see that I got to fill it. There's a little bit of slop on the side, doesn't hurt anything. So that's wetted. You can see like all the way around it. As opposed to if you look at the first one I did, it doesn't have much solder at all. Well, it has a little bit. It'd probably be okay, but I like more. I like to make sure we get as good a connection as we can. So I'm going to put some more on that. Like that. And then I'm going to come back and do the middle pin last. Here again, I've got to be patient because it's connected to all that copper on the guy. After I've had time for things to heat up, then I'm going to put the solder on here. Okay, and only because it's on video, I'll clean that up. That's all there is to it. Now, I think I made enough room, but in general, when you always just come back and cut the pins off, make sure you got some safety glasses on, because these little nubs will go flying. Well, sometimes they go flying. That gets it closer to flush. Now what you see on there is the melted flux. You see that ugliness? It doesn't hurt anything, but when you'll really make a mess when you use the where's my alcohol? Ugh. Anyway, an alcohol and a Q-tip or an alcohol and a paper towel will take that right off. So when you're reworking something like these strips and solder them together, you'll get a bunch of, it'll look nasty, like it's burned all to hell. Well, it's the flux that's burnt, and if you just take some alcohol, clean it up, it'll look just like brand new. That'll just go away. This stuff will turn brown as it gets hotter, and it looks ugly. So I'm not going to mess with that now. There's the finished product, and it's ready now to screw onto your bulkhead. We'll cover solvent welding. We're putting the inserts into the bulkhead and solvent welding it next.